Dr. Ronald Giffler has an extensive record of involvement in organized medicine, including serving as Broward County Medical Association President from 2005 to 2006, the Professional Resource Network Treasurer from 2012 to 2016, and FMA Foundation Treasurer from 2011 to 2015. Dr. Giffler is a longtime community leader who has served on the Board of Directors for Women in Distress of Broward County, the Community Blood Center of South Florida Medical Advisory Board, and in the Broward County Medical Reserve Corps. He currently serves as board chair for Innovating Health International, a nonprofit dedicated for treating chronic diseases and addressing women's health issues in Haiti. Dr. Giffler earned his medical degree from the Medical College of Virginia, where he also completed his training in anatomic and clinical pathology. Dr. Giffler then completed additional fellowship in oncologic surgical pathology at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Hospital in Houston. As if this was not impressive enough, Dr. Giffler earned a law degree from the University of Miami and a master's degree in business administration from Nova Southeastern University. He served for many years in the Medical Corps of the U.S. Army Reserve, ultimately retiring in 2015 at the rank of colonel. Dr. Giffler, your distinguished resume, dedication to community service, and organized medicine have led you to this moment. Please join Dr. Howard as he has the honor of installing you as the Florida Medical Association's 143rd president.
Thank you. Now, it's a privilege to install Dr. Ronald Giffler as the 143rd President of the Florida Medical Association. Dr. Giffler, please raise your right hand and place your left hand on the Bible. And please repeat after me. I solemnly swear that I shall carry out the duties
I solemnly swear that I shall carry out the duties
of the office of the President of the Florida Medical Association
of the office of the President of the Florida Medical Association
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I promise my loyalty and dedication
I promise my loyalty and dedication
and will work in partnership with the physicians of this state.
and will work in partnership with the physicians of this state.
And I shall uphold the Constitution
And I shall uphold the Constitution
and the bylaws of the organization at all times,
and the bylaws of the organization at all times,
and work to accomplish the goal of our mission, vision, and values.
and work to accomplish the goal of our mission, vision, and values.
To these duties and obligations, I pledge myself.
To these duties and obligations, I pledge myself.
Congratulations, Dr. Giffler. You are
Thank
duly
you.
installed.
Thank you. That go on me?
You want it?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I put this on?
Yeah.
There you go, buddy.
Thank you all. Mr. Speaker, fellow delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 145th Annual Meeting of the Florida Medical Association. It is a great privilege to be installed as your next FMA President. This is truly a momentous day in my life, and I thank you for your support and trust. Years ago, physicians did not face today's gauntlet of challenges. Becoming president then was a thank you from your fellow physicians for a career well spent, an award, an honor. Today, it is much more than that. It is a heavy duty, a great responsibility, even if for only a year being the face of the House of Medicine in these turbulent times, meeting with legislators, regulators, negotiators, CEOs, and deans. I will do my best to represent you well. So how did I get here? I want to specially thank a number of people, some here today and some not. No one works in a vacuum, and we are here this weekend not just to install me as your FMA's next president, but to celebrate the life and vitality of our FMA. I want to first thank my parents, Sylvia and Eli Giffler. They got me started and made sure I understood that from a family of very modest means, getting a good education was the roadmap to achieve the American dream. If you can hear me today, thanks for everything. Next, I want to thank the many past presidents who worked with me since I first became serious about the FMA. Not just to thank them for encouraging me, but to recognize them at this, our annual celebration for their amazing contributions to our FMA. Many of them are here before you on the stage. A few are no longer with us. Bob Klein was really the first person to get me seriously involved with the FMA when he appointed me to the board of the Florida Physicians Association in 2002. The FPA was an offshoot of the FMA created to look into the formation of a physicians union. So there I was a year or two later, still a relative newbie in the FMA and suddenly president of the Florida Physicians Union, a union president. Well, after several years and much effort, we finally increased our membership to about 3 or 4 people. So we decided to roll up the carpet on the FPA and the FMA, but I got my start in the FMA. Thanks, Bob. Not counting myself, there have been 16 additional presidents since Bob. I wish I had time to thank all of them, but I can only hit the highlights. Carl Altenberger was president 2007 to 8. I can't imagine anyone loving this organization and devoting more time and energy on its behalf than Carl. He mentored me as well as many of the former presidents on the stage today. If you were to ask me what, if anything, I have accomplished to date of any significance at the FMA, I would say without hesitation, it was my idea of naming our Leadership Academy after Carl. I'm glad he lived to see that happen. I want to thank Jim Dolan, president from 2009 to 10, for appointing me president of FMA Services. This is the subsidiary that oversees our endorsed vendor programs. This led to my interest in FMA finances, and eventually I became treasurer. In 2011, Miguel Machado appointed me to the at-large board seat and executive committee. Thank you for your confidence in me. Shortly after this, Dr. Gerald Schiebler suggested I run for treasurer. You don't say no to Dr. Schiebler. Thank you, Jerry. Vincent DeGennaro was president 2012 to 13. Thank you for being an amazing president. Right here. When I need some serious advice, I call Vinny. And thank you for being my friend and brother. Next came the 2 Allens, Harmon and Pillersdorf, both great presidents. Alan Harmon preceded me as treasurer and set the modern standard for that office. Alan Pillersdorf, I don't know exactly what to say, great leader and very interesting. As for all the rest, the other dedicated physicians who preceded me, you've heard their names: Carl Lentz, Dennis Agliano, Madeline Butler, Miguel Machado, Ralph Nobo, David Becker, John Catapodis, and our outgoing president, Corey Harwood. Great job. And I want to call your attention to Dr. Cecil Wilson, not only past president of our FMA, but also of the American Medical Association and the World Medical Association. So now it's time to start talking about what I would like to accomplish during my term as president. I don't expect to change the world in 1 year. However, there are a few projects I would like to get started and maybe pass on to my successors. Let me start with the subject I was just speaking of, past presidents. The term of office of FMA president is 1 year. The term of office of many societies is 2 years, but we have only a 1-year term. We are cranking out a lot of ex-presidents. What role do they have? They get up on this stage once a year and they do a Board of Past Presidents breakfast Saturday morning at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Their knowledge, experience, and dedication comprises, in my opinion, a very underutilized resource. I will appoint an ad hoc committee to look into possible ways to keep our ex-presidents more engaged. Next, foundation. I want to speak briefly about the FMA activities. I divide FMA activities roughly into three categories: advocacy, education, and the foundation. The mission of the FMA is to help physicians practice medicine. And for me personally, advocacy is the area of my primary interest. With our general counsel and staff, political affairs department and PAC, and our contract state and now federal lobbyists, they all do a great job. We also have a tremendous education department with all kinds of live and online programs. Many of these CME programs are being presented here at this meeting. But I want to speak a minute about the FMA Foundation. The privilege to practice medicine, and it is still a great privilege, has always included the moral responsibility to spend a portion of one's time treating the poor without pay, for free, charity care. Unfortunately, in today's trying times, with declining reimbursement, increasing practice costs, and ever-mounting regulation, many physicians feel just showing up at the office is their charitable contribution to society. Fortunately, though, in spite of this crazy environment, many physicians remain committed to helping others less fortunate, and they look to the FMA to provide them the opportunity. The Foundation for Healthy Floridians is the charitable arm of the Florida Medical Association. It has done some great things, funding indigent care, assisting in the rebuilding of practices devastated by hurricane, promoting physician wellness, and most recently, under the leadership of President Howard, creating the Healthy Living Toolkit. Great work, but I think we can do more. During my term, I will do all I can to promote the further growth and success of our foundation. More meetings, more members, more dollars, more activities. Next, I want to spend a few moments discussing our military physicians. A generation or two ago, if I asked here at this meeting for all who had served to stand, almost everyone in the room would be on their feet. Not so today. So I want to once again ask all those who have served or are still serving to stand up as they're called, whether active duty, reserve, guard, or retired. Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard. You take an oath to defend your country and put on a uniform. It is a very special feeling. The AMA House of Delegates has a service section with one delegate from each of the uniformed services. I will appoint another ad hoc committee to study how to better engage and represent our military colleagues, to prepare a report with recommendations for the board later this year. If the AMA can do it, we can and should do it here in our house. Next, membership. I'd like to speak a few words about membership. When I was growing up in America, people were joiners. If you were a person of faith, you joined your community church or synagogue. If you were interested in government and politics, you joined the local party club of your choice and attended meetings. If you liked to bowl, you joined a bowling league, PTA, Boy Scouts, American Legion, you name it, and millions of Americans joined. Not anymore. The reasons are complex and not entirely clear. Newer opportunities for self-amusement on the internet, social media, satellite TV, or just plain apathy. We're just not joiners anymore. This is a national cultural phenomenon affecting all organizations, not just medical ones. In addition, though, organized medicine has some particular challenges. Employed physicians all too often look to their employers for support, representation, and advocacy. Specialty societies compete for human and capital resources. 100 years ago, the focal point for the physician's professional life was the county medical society. Today, this sense of community is frequently obtained elsewhere, if at all. So what can we do about it? One-on-one, make the ask. I bet every one of us know very well some physician who is more than an associate, who is a friend, and not just a colleague. And also, this friend is not an FMA member. Ask them to join. Let them know the great work we do. If each of us brought just one person into the fold, think of it. We also have to accept the fact that practice models are changing. The employment model is becoming the rule rather than the exception. Employment by hospitals, large single or multi-specialty groups, integrated delivery systems, insurance companies. These are the new practice homes for many of our colleagues. We must reach out to them. Our membership team, led by CEO Tim Stapleton, has made great strides in this area, and as you have heard, membership is at an all-time high. But we must work hard to engage these new members, get them involved, keep them involved. I would like to talk next about advocacy. The mission of the FMA is to help physicians practice medicine. So what do I consider the main threats that require our advocacy, and where do I want to focus my limited time in office? Let me first name some of the key stakeholders in healthcare. Physicians, and I use that term to mean MDs and DOs. Other providers of healthcare of numerous types and titles. Hospitals, medical associations, medical schools, the continuing medical education industry, the specialty boards, the computer, communication, software, and medical records industry, insurance companies, health, disability, workers' comp, benefit management companies, business and employers, pharmaceutical industry, trial lawyers, the parasites and animals who commit fraud and abuse, politicians, lastly, but most importantly, patients. And remember, sooner or later, almost every one of us will be a patient. This is very complicated. Depending on the issue, those who are our friends and allies and those who are our opponents can change rapidly. So which of these players do I consider the most consistent, persistent, and powerful threats to our professional survival and independence? Where would I like to focus our limited resources? I would say health insurance and scope of practice expansion. I believe these are the two most serious threats to our professional independence and ability as physicians to deliver quality care. First, health insurance. This is a giant total scam. The historic role of insurance has been for protection against The historic role of insurance has been for the protection against catastrophe. Think shipwreck. Your house burns down to the ground. Life and disability. The first hospital insurance plan was opened in Dallas, Texas in 1929. Some 1,500 school teachers paid an annual premium of $6. That's right, $6 per year. Not bad. And look at what we have now. No transaction is too small to pass on to your friendly health insurer, provided you met your out-of-pocket requirements. And the insurers gladly oblige, skimming off their share of each and every transaction, no matter how large or small. The result is their enormous wealth and power both accumulated to a large degree at our expense. So what can we do? On the state level, we must continue pressing for our legislative agenda. That includes elimination of the step therapy concept, elimination of retroactive denials of previously approved care, and reform of the prior authorization process. And we must continue to press for a more just Medicaid fee schedule. More than anything, I believe we must continue to pursue any willing provider legislation. This would allow a physician to see a patient and receive payment regardless of whether the physician is in network, provided he or she is willing to accept in-network conditions. Americans must regain the freedom to choose their physicians. and physicians must regain the freedom to treat any person who wishes to be under their care. We must also continue to grow our lobbying presence at the federal level. Our CEO, Tim Stapleton, has initiated a new federal advocacy program. I wholeheartedly support this effort and have already traveled twice to DC to meet with our lobbying team and with Congress. I trust this will become a staple part of our FMA advocacy program. Next, I want to talk about scope of practice. Nowadays, the term professional is greatly overused. Anybody who does anything, if they do it for money, they call themselves a professional. This was not always the case. Historically, in Western civilization, there have been only three professions called learned professions: medicine, law, and divinity. The word professional comes from the Latin profidior, to declare, announce, profess some special knowledge in a particular area. What are the attributes of a learned profession? First, profound academic study, not just during initial education and training, but a lifelong dedication to learning. A position of authority resulting from this specialized knowledge. And last, and most importantly, trust, a moral obligation to put the interests of others first, associated with a code of ethics. The needs of the patient should come first. Today, as never before, an army of pretenders are foisting themselves on the American public as legitimate alternatives to real doctors. Today's healthcare team has many great players, educated, hardworking, caring, but there is no substitute for the education, training, and experience gained through the long, hard hours, indeed years, of medical school residency and ultimate practice. We must constantly strive for the highest obtainable standards. We as individuals and the FMA as an organization must forever oppose the efforts of these pretenders to pass themselves off as doctors. The preservation of our special identity is crucial to all our advocacy efforts and absolutely necessary for quality health care. I want to thank the staff with so many complicated issues before us. FMA members are fortunate to have a team that is dedicated to helping us thrive as individuals in daily practice and supporting the medical profession as a whole. I'm bound to leave someone out, I apologize, but this Tim Stapleton, Matt Crowley, Christy Jones, Jeff Scott, Chris Clark, Brittany Jackson, Melissa Carter, Sarah Hickman, Lauren Bird, Sherry Hickney, Lauren Burleson, Terry Batchelor, Adam Baus, Jared Fowler, Drew Heffley, Eric Carr, Chandra Prine, Tom Blanton, and the entire staff. Thank you for your amazing efforts on behalf of our 25,000 plus members across Florida. Finally, in closing, I want to thank my daughter Sarah and my wife Diane for putting up with me all these years. I couldn't be here without their support. I know the year will go by fast, and I'm not going to be changing the world in any great measure. I just hope to show up, hair combed, tie straight, and represent you well. A victory or two would be nice. Thank you all for showing up, and enjoy the rest of the meeting.